Now, as to the inputs relate to the program planning formula, the question of what, who, where, and when. So what are input? The input are resources used by the program. It could be human, it could be financial, organization, and resources in the community. An example of that is staff participation, what kind of staffing you have, how many volunteers you get, and who in the community will be collaborating with you. Do you have the necessary equipment or supply? And do you have the facilities? Say if you have a basketball tournament, do you have the basketball court, a stadium or a gymnasium available for that? And do you need to train people in order to provide certain services? And also both in terms of in-cash and in-kind support. Then after you have the resources, then you think about what kind of intervention that you have. As you can tell that the intervention come later. Oftentimes when we do program planning, we have the activities first, and that's the problem. The activity is based on why the needs of the community and the expected result, and then we decide what kind of activities that we need. You are hungry, and so you want to have a good dinner, dinner, so that particularly today you feel like having Chinese. Then the activity is that you're going to cook a Chinese cooking. You may do some stir fry instead of doing barbecue, which is not exactly the activity that will bring you a wonderful Chinese dinner. So it depends on what you want and what you want to see achieving, and then you decide what you want to do. So what the program does with its resources to address community needs and make a difference. The example of that is 15 members will tutor 45 children one-on-one in reading 3 times a week for 20 minutes for the semester. Now you can see the very specific, exactly what will happen. It's very detailed. Activity should not be a general thing. We provide tutoring. Well, that is wonderful. We want more. We want more specificity is the buzzword for activities, and you need to detail what exactly happened. So the activities is the key part. Oftentimes, the key part of what we do. The next then when we go to, so hopefully the result, the activities we do will bring about the results. There are 3 types of results. The first one is so-called outputs result. Output if you study other program evaluation approach, sometimes is called process objectives, or call it accomplishment. Outputs is part of the evaluation. Remember, refer back to the program planning formula, and this is the evaluation piece. The output pretty much what we call a bean counting. Ask the question of, did you do what you set out to do? Did you do what you set out to do? Is it very much how many people come through the program? How many people? How many activities that you organize? Pretty much it's counting head. How many people in there? How many units of counseling service do you provide? How many volunteers you could? How many students that you tutor? And how many neighborhood meetings did you organize? Very much reporting the number. Now those numbers doesn't tell the whole story. Absolutely, they don't tell the story about what are the results of this activity. So output is asked, did you set out what you set out to do? The second type of result is called intermediate outcome. Sometimes we call it outcome objective. Intermediate outcome asks the question of how well you do, or what difference did you make, what change. Yeah, you have 500 people come to your program. Did anybody benefit from the program? You ask your kids you ask your kids, did you go to school this morning, today? Yes, I went to school. Now, that is an output. And you ask a follow-up question. Did you learn anything? How was school today? Now, those are the questions of intermediate outcome. And so the intermediate outcome is a precondition for more long-term outcome. So hopefully your kids in school have a good day in school, have some fun learning. Then the long-term outcome is they will have a good grade and be a very an educated person and graduate from the school. Okay, so those are the long-term outcome. But at this point, is they do the important intermediate steps, and what kind of activity that need to take place in order to long-term result to take place. An example of that is the majority of the students report feeling safe and not pressured to engage in risky behaviors. And there's people that they feel safe and they don't need to be forced into doing things that they don't want to do. Or you organize a program, volunteers start dropping out, you don't have enough people to support your program, so you institute a particular intervention, and the number of volunteer dropout has decreased, and you will have enough people to run program. Or 65% of students will complete the homework assignment. Yes, hopefully we get 100%, but now we get 60%, 65%. Before that, we may only have 20%. So by having 65%, there is a step in the right direction to go to 100%. And then, or say 15 more neighborhoods agree to set up the drug-free zone that to provide a safe environment for kids. Or 80% of the clients achieve 75% of their treatment goal. And those are the intermediate outcome. So output tell you, did you do what you set out to do? Intermediate outcome tell you what have changed. How well did you do? All right. So at the end, we want to have an end outcome. Not all activities we do have end outcome. And end outcome is what we call impact objective. Impact objective is something that you can only get after you have done a lot of other activities. Impact is a cumulative kind of result. So some of the activity is just activity and have output, have intermediate outcome. But at the end, they will have the end outcome. The end outcome asks a very important question of, so what? So you do all these things, so why do I care? Well, you should care because this will bring about this and that. There's very important things. Is cumulative, is collective. They only happen probably at the end of the program. So when you ask your kids to do well in school, pass all the classes, and be a good student, all of those are intermediate outcome. But at the end, they will become a good person, a good citizen. That is the end outcome. We don't necessarily see it in every single turn of our activities. Right? So for example, we say parents develop appropriate parenting skill. More seniors are able to stay at home, so-called aging in place, instead of going to premature admission into institution. Or students demonstrate better behavior in school. And all of those are the end outcome. That for for example, if give you an example of all this difference between input, intermediate outcome, and end outcome. You may be working very hard for a long time for your community. Finally, you say, I need to take a break. So I want to go on a retreat, a vacation. So you left and you went on vacation for a period of time. You went on to a remote mountain so that you can have a retreat. 2 weeks later, you come back, your colleague says, oh, did you go to your retreat? Yes, I did. That's the output. And your friend will say, so how was it? Well, it was pretty good. I can show you some pictures of that. Now, I really enjoy the quietness. I really enjoy a time that I can reflect on my work. Now, that is what changed. I feel, I not only I went there, I took the bus there, but then I stayed for 10 days and all of those output, but I feel like I have the quiet time. I feel well. I feel wonderful. But then this is what I want. Those are intermediate outcome. The end outcome, however, is after you finish talking to your friend, you go back to your office, and in front of you and on the desk is full of all the works that you accumulated in 2 weeks. You said, well, I was burned out, but now I feel like I am re-energized. I'm ready to go out and do more work. I can tackle all this. You feel refreshed. You feel have the new energy to tackle the problem. That is the end outcome. Now, so those are the three different type of result. One more thing, though, is one person's end outcome, however, may be another person's output. Or say it this way, one person output may be another program's end outcome. If I have a new agency working with women who have experienced domestic violence, and I'm a new agency, so I would like to set things up that at the end of the year I will have 10 clients, and that may be my end outcome. But for an established agency, they see 10 clients almost every day. So for them, for the established agency, and the same so-called 10 clients for them is output, for you is an end outcome. So the result is individualized to different programs. So it may be your end outcome, but someone else's output.